Tell your friends that This Is Us is back again. I'm gonna try to talk about This Is Us, and I'm gonna do my best to review the show. I'm gonna break it up into I'm gonna try to give everyone their little nugget of time. I'm gonna talk about Kate, and I'm gonna talk about Randall and Deja, and then I'm gonna talk about Beth and her detective skills, and Kevin and Zoe, and then I'm gonna talk about Rebecca and Jack. So if I can remember the order I just said, I'll try to make sure that this video is in that order. So I believe I said Kate first. Kate is dealing with her fertility issues. She goes to one doctor. They tell her that her fertility issues might be because of her weight, but it could also be because of Toby, and he should go take a test. And the test results came back. It seems as if Toby is contributing to the problem of Kate not being able to conceive a child naturally. Apparently, his antidepressants are causing him to have a low sperm count, or they're just not as active as they're supposed to be. So because of that, Kate decided that maybe they should seek help for IVF, and they did, and they got the same no that they've been getting from everyone else. So she basically gave up hope. She goes to her birthday party, and Madison brings out a cake, and all she can do, and she makes a wish, and all she can think of is just what happened earlier in the day, and seeing that she possibly will never have a child naturally. And she said that her wish was to have a child, and she knows that her wish will just never come true. She's just feeling bummed about the whole thing, and all Madison could say is, "It's carrot cake." I was like, not the time! Not the time. After she just poured her heart out about not being able to have a child, you think that the perfect time to just, oh, it's a carrot cake. No crap, it's like covered in carrots, and it was pretty. It was like it's definitely like a cake that you'd want for your garden party. But this is not a conversation about cake. This is a conversation about Kate. So Kate gets home, and she's feeling bummed out, and Toby's telling her that he was actually kind of worried about IVF. Like, it will put her at so much risk dealing with her weight and all the stuff that the pregnancy could possibly do to her, and plus it would be very expensive. And he's just saying he thinks they should just try naturally, and they decided to do that. And then she got a call from the same doctor who told her that IVF would be dangerous for someone at her weight to actually go through it. And she had them come back into the office for her to tell them that it's very dangerous, and she has like a 10% chance that it will work, and that she basically won't die. The doctor actually tells her that she would be willing to help her with her IVF, because she spoke to her colleagues, and they said that there have been cases where women Kate's weight have had successful fertilization and birth using IVF. So she's willing to do it, but Toby doesn't seem so thrilled. Moving on to Randall and Deja. Randall is trying everything to get through to Deja. She's just been treating him she's just been very standoffish. She seems like she is just regressed to whatever the relationship was like before, when she just got into the house. And she doesn't want to talk. She doesn't even want him to touch her on the shoulder. Like, she's just so pulled back from him and, from everybody else, because she's feeling as if her mom is abandoning her, and her dad never wanted her in the first place. And here's Randall, and Randall took her to the building that he bought And he's telling her the story of how he walked up and he told off his dad, his bio dad, and how everything worked out after. And she was just not hearing it. She's like, I'm glad you're telling me that you had two dads who wanted you and I had one and he didn't want me. So, thank you. She was upset. And Randall didn't know what else to do. And it didn't seem like he got through to Deja, but we later find out that he did. Deja went to confront her dad, and she didn't even try to get him to say anything to her. She just wanted him to listen to what she had to say, and she explained to him she's gonna be brilliant and he's gonna miss out. And then when she's grown and he realized that he missed out on how awesome her life turns out to be and how awesome of a daughter she is and awesome of a person she is, then he is going to feel crappy. Basically, that's what she said, but in different words, of course. She asked him for one favor, the only favor he'll ever have to do for her, and we're like, what the hell is that? But we see Deja next showing up at the door with a box, and Randall is ready to scold her. He's like, you can't just sneak through your window and leave this house. There are rules in this house. And then he sees the box, and he's like, ooh, is that for me? A gift? I love surprises. And he like just completely forgot about the whole thing that she snuck out, and he just moved on from there because he got a gift. Like, Randall is like such a child sometimes. It's so adorable. And it turns out that in the box were running shoes, because earlier he told Deja that trying to keep up with her, he's wearing down his shoes, and she got him some running shoes. I guess that's what she asked her dad to do, and she didn't even explain to Randall how she got the money to do that. She just told him that she had a connection. And that's it for Deja and Randall. Now let's go right back to Randall having a conversation with Beth in the kitchen right before he went out with Deja. He told Beth, do not say anything to Zoe or Kevin because she's been snooping around and she thinks they've been knocking boots. Her detective work was just spot on. She's just been picking up on all things. I mean, Zoe was just making it so obvious. She was giving off red flags here and there. She was just paranoid about, Beth's gonna find out. She's gonna find out. We can't hug. We can't do anything. You don't even half smile, because when you half smile, it makes me full smile. But Beth is just like, I'm not having it. And she told Randall. And Randall is like, can you promise me you won't bring this up at the party tonight? Because they're having a birthday party, of course. This is us, and it's their birthday. It's the first episode back, of course. So Randall asks Beth to swear on Oprah that she will not even go there. She will not have any conversations. She will not sneak into Zoe and Kevin's life. And she says she promised. She swears on Oprah's life. As Randall walks out, she's like, even Gail disappoints Oprah every once in a while. I was like, damn, she don't give a crap. She's definitely getting involved. And as soon as Kevin got there, she hears Zoe and Kevin outside talking. And she's like, I'm sorry, Oprah. I gotta do this. And she walks out. She's like, you two are knocking boots, aren't you? And they had absolutely no option but to come clean. She scolded Zoe while Kevin and the two little girls are sitting on the step, and he's talking to them about how he's gonna ask her to the premiere of his movie because he wanted it to be like prom. Like, oh, Kevin, stop being so freaking cute. And then Zoe says the thing of the line of the episode. I had to write it down. I'm like, damn girl, yes, he does. Yes, he does. She said that he looks like Batman and is built like a truck. And I was just like, girl, if you don't know how to describe a man, I don't know what. Kevin walks into the conversation with Beth and Zoe, and because Beth is just livid because she knows how Zoe is, and she's like, you're not gonna do this. And we were thinking that maybe she's worried about Kevin possibly ruining the relationship. But turns out Beth is worried about Kevin getting hurt because of Zoe's track record with men. She's like, she'll eat you up and spit you out, just like she's done to other men. And she's like, I know it's gonna ruin my shtick, but I actually love you, Kevin. I'm like, Beth? Really? You love him? It is your shtick to not like him, huh? I love it. I love their little bickering back and forth. To Mr. and Mrs. Pearson, or before they were Mr. and Mrs. Pearson, Jack and Rebecca, on their first date. What's supposed to have been a robbery turned into a first date for Jack and Rebecca because Jack was just so smitten at first sight of Rebecca. He was just in awe. And he stood there, and the guys at the booth was just like, yeah, he's singing her out. He likes that girl. And yes, he did. And he basically asked her if she'd like to have a drink, because the next time we see them, they're having a drink, and she's just going on and on about herself, and he's just there looking at her, and she's like, and then she's like, tell me about yourself, and he's like, my name is Jack. So I'm like, he didn't even tell her his name yet, and she's there talking about some story or another. I don't even remember what she was talking about. I mean, like, she's so adorable. And they decide to leave, and Jack ran outside to speak to his friend, and he asked him how much money he has on him, and he said, I only have $4, and Jack says, I only have $5. Well, that makes $9. I have $9, and that's the reason why the episode is called $9. So she goes on a date with Rebecca, and he takes her to the carnival, and when they get to the carnival, it's $5 for 2 tickets, and they go on ahead in, and Rebecca started talking about how she got candy apple stuck in her teeth, or her tooth stuck in candy apple when she was a kid, and Jack said, let me buy you one for old time's sake. As Jack walks off, she said, and a hot chocolate. So Jack goes and orders the hot chocolate and the candy apple, only for the guy to tell him that's gonna be $2. So if you're keeping count, that's $7 Jack has spent so far. $7 out of the 9. They're talking, and she's like, oh, we have to do like this little quiz thing, and she's like, cats or dogs? And he's like, dogs. She said cat. And on a pizza, mushroom or pepperoni? And he says pepperoni, she says mushrooms. So she's just like, we have nothing in common in that way. I'm just like, those questions though, like, come on. To tell if you're compatible, not so much. It starts to rain, and they turned around, and there's a guy already selling umbrellas. And Rebecca says, we should go get an umbrella since it's raining, and, you know, to keep walking around. And the umbrellas are $2. So Jack only has $2 left, and that would be it for the night. That would be it. So he said, no, why don't we could just, it's not raining that hard. We could just, you know, we could stay in the rain, even though it's raining pretty hard. And they basically just stood there for the rest of the night until they decide to take Rebecca home. In the car, when they get to Rebecca's house, Jack just confesses everything. He said, I only had $9 at the beginning of this night. I've been basically down on my luck since I got back from the war. I don't have any money. I had that $9. And I know that if I spend the $2 on the umbrella, I wouldn't have anything for games. And you don't take a girl to the carnival and not have her play games. She's just listening to his story, and she's like, I don't want to talk about the war because I don't like talking about the war. It's hard for me. But since I've met you, it feels like home. And I've never felt like that before. And she's just like expressionless at first, like she's calculating everything in her mind, and she's like, you know, my friends told me that I'm supposed to leave, like if the date went really good, I'm supposed to leave something in the car so that the next day you would have to have an excuse to come over and see me another time. So she's telling Jack all this, and she's saying, but the date was not like that. It was not a good date. And I'm like, where are you going with this, Rebecca? Where are you going? And then she's like, it's not a good date, but the way you look at me. And I'm just like, oh, Rebecca, kiss that boy. Kiss that boy, Rebecca. And that she did. She kissed him, and as she was leaving, she left like a sweater or a scarf. I don't know. I think it was a scarf. She left it in the car, and Jack looked and he realized, he's like, oh, she won a second date. And he got really excited. And then he gets home. His dad is all, being Jack's dad, annoying. And he's like, what's up with you? He watches the game, and the game is like out of nowhere with this game with Franco Harris. This is, the Steelers won, and they basically came from out of nowhere and won, and he feels good because the game was good. He had a good night, and the next morning he goes, and we're hearing the voiceover of the game, and he goes to Rebecca's house with flowers and the article of clothing that she left behind in his car. And he's ready to go up there and ask her out again. And he sees another guy bring in flowers. Rebecca was inside. She felt all happy. She was putting on her makeup. She was fixing everything. And she hears a knock on the door. And she got all happy. And she goes, and it's a different guy. And you can tell that there's the disappointment on her face because she thought it would be Jack. And at the same time, Jack is outside and he's watching the whole interaction go down. And he sees her hug and kiss this guy who handed her flowers. And this guy, the way he's dressed, you can tell that he obviously has more money than Jack. And now Jack is feeling very discouraged, so he drove off. And the voiceover that we're hearing is saying that the ball went to a bunch of different guys until it got to Harris, who made the play. Or it got to one guy who made the play. And then it's like, Rebecca will have to date a bunch of other guys before she gets to Jack. And I'm just like, oh, Jack, don't be feeling too sad. But then the sadness continue in the episode because we go right back to, we go to the future where we see adult Tess and Randall having a conversation, and he's saying to her, she wants us to come and see her and blah blah blah, and we should all go down there. And then he calls Toby and tell him the same. She really wants to see you. And we see Toby in bed, and there's no one beside him. And Toby's older, so we're wondering, is Kate the one that wants to see him or wants him to be there? Is Kate the one that's sick and dying? Or what's going on there? And that's the cliffhanger we're left with regarding to the future part of this episode. I feel like from this episode, my takeaway is mostly on Toby and Kevin's decision. Toby's obviously making the decision to get off his meds just so that he could possibly have a baby naturally with Kate. And that's definitely going to backfire. Even with what we see for next week's episode, we see that his anger issues are back and he's not doing so well. And we just know that it's definitely going to be an issue. But with Kevin and Zoe, Kevin might be heading for, he's heading towards some hurt. And the thing is, we don't know what's going to happen to Kevin when he feels low again, because Kevin is battling with an addiction problem. So what's going to happen if Kevin gets hurt so soon after he got out of rehab? Who's to know? I feel like that's going to be very interesting to find out in the coming episodes of season 3 of This Is Us. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and a comment. Let's have a conversation about This Is Us in the comment down below. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic night or day or whenever.